Good morning and welcome, everyone. Folks are joining right now, and we welcome you to our weekly small business resource webinar to support small businesses that have been impacted by the wildfires and wind of early January 2025. People are joining right now, and as they join in, we invite you to prepare questions perhaps for our speakers today. For those who've not been with us before, we'll need a reminder. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a Q&A button. Just click on that and type in your question, and we'll either answer it live or try to type back to you the answer that you're seeking to get answered. Today, we have a couple guests with us from agencies based on last week when folks asked very specifically for representatives from the EDD and SBA to join in to answer questions about the upcoming deadlines and how people might file for these very important resources. Again, my name is John. I am the Deputy Director of the Dr. Lucy Jones Center for Science and Society. We are a founding member and leader of the Together for LA coalition, which is established to support small businesses recover and build resilience in the face of disaster. And so we have been excited to be able to provide this resource for small businesses across Los Angeles that have been impacted by the wildfires. Today, again, we are joined by a number of speakers from, again, the Small Business Administration at the federal government, the SBA, as well as the state of California's Employee Development Department. I'm going to start today and invite our friends from the SBA to offer a few updates regarding the deadlines that are coming very shortly and the ways that small businesses can access the resources of the SBA and what the filing and deadlines mean. And then as they're speaking, if you have questions for SBA, please use the chat in order to access them. We'll let them speak, answer a few questions, and we'll pause and move on to EDD for the next portion of the program. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mary from the SBA and Lee from the SBA to offer some remarks.
There we go. Sorry, I'm using two screens and not doing it very well. The first thing I want to call everybody's attention to are these critical deadlines to apply. And we want to encourage everybody to apply. Don't wait. As you can see, the incident period obviously was from January 7th to January 31st for the wildfire. So if somebody experienced physical damage to their home or business, and that includes renters, between that period due to the LA wildfires, get your application in. The deadline was March 10th. And I know the state has asked for an extension, but there's no guarantee of any extension. And if they do, it might be limited. So please get in and apply. Economic injury for those small businesses, whether they've experienced physical damage or not, but they may have experienced economic damages. You have until October 8th, but I still would encourage everybody to apply as soon as possible. It's a first come, first serve program. So you want to get in line so that you get a loan officer who can help guide you and work with you. And so you get your funds faster. And obviously the interest rates are up on the screen. Homeowners and renters, it's as low as 2.563. For homeowners, the maximum obviously is or I think you've heard this before, 500,000 for what insurance and other sources do not have available or reimburse you for. And for renters and homeowners for personal property up to 100,000, businesses can go up to 2 million. And that includes both physical damages and economic injury. Interest rates as low as 4%, and for nonprofits, 3.625. And I imagine there are some of those on this call. What I will tell you is that sure beats a credit card when rate at the end of the day. There's no cost to apply, no prepayment penalty. You don't have to accept the loan if you don't want. And but if you don't apply, you aren't going to have it as an option. 12 months, remember, no payments or accrued interest from the first disbursement. So you don't want to wait for insurance. We can help you move forward even before that. So again, our message today is apply, apply, apply as soon as possible. Any questions, or do you take questions at the end?
I don't know if Lee has anything she'd like to add
Oh,
or about other
sorry.
programs, but if not, we can take
Just,
questions. But Lee,
just really quick, I wanted to add that if you need assistance, there are disaster recovery centers where there are people, dedicated specialists who help with the application process. But then also we have small business development centers, women's business centers, SCORE business mentors, veterans business outreach centers. Men can go into a women's business center. They accept federal funding. They're not allowed to discriminate. One of the women's business center directors has expressly told me that she loves her male clients because her male clients get all of the female clients in their lives to come into her center. So please, if you need assistance, even if you're not interested in assistance with a loan application, they have a plethora of other services that you might be able to take advantage of. You want to take advantage of these services. These are paid for by your federal and state tax dollars. Even if you're maybe not interested, I personally would like to know why you're not interested, why you're not taking advantage of these services that you paid for with your tax dollars.
Lee,
right?
thank
So
you for that.
that's a great resource, and I think if we can put in the chat maybe some of the links to some of those centers, we can get those folks those resources. Here's a question from Stacy. She asks, "Is smoke damage not physical damage to SBA? Her business experienced smoke damage. Would that consider a physical damage?"
Yes, it would. Um, as far as I know, everybody's situation is slightly different, but here's the rule: apply. All they can do is say no, there's no cost involved. So when in doubt, apply, apply, apply. But smoke damage would be damage.
Okay. Any other questions for SBA right now? I'm sure as you're listening, you may come up with another one. Again, we'll put some links in the chat here for you shortly. I do want to just, before we move on, thank the LA Economic Development Center, the LAEDC, for continuing to host these webinars and posting the recordings on their website at togetherforla.org. And so that is a resource that we want to thank them for. And so Ashima said that that they were told that it is not physical damage, but they're going to go apply anyway based on this information. Thank you so much.
Okay.
The second question, actually, there's a couple questions coming in now for SBA before we go to the next group. If there's no interest for 12 months, are we penalized if we begin payment before 12 months?
Absolutely not. There is no prepayment penalty. But I would talk to the loan servicing department to make sure that when you do that, that they don't somehow accidentally turn your regular payments on. But talk to your loan officer and your case manager who will help with the loan closing, etc. My rule of thumb is make them your new best friend because they will walk you through the process in ways that we cannot. We can't underwrite, we can't answer certain questions from the field, but they certainly can, and they can help you.
And then Stacy rewrote and said, "What can I do if my smoke damage application was denied? Is there an appeal process?"
Yes, there is. There is actually two potential appeals processes. The first is the actual, what they call reconsideration. But here's what I would tell you to do. Find out what the reason is from your loan officer for the denial. And the denial should come in a letter, but it's worth asking that loan officer for more details because that tells you what to overcome. So you want to wait until you have overcome whatever the objection is. Sometimes people's credit score has dipped temporarily, or there's missing documents or information they need you to expand upon. And if you're a small business, that may be a good time to visit those resource centers, the SBDCs, the Women's Business Centers, SCORE, to see if they can't help guide you with that before you ask for that reconsideration. You've got up to 6 months, because if you get denied again, you have one last appeal, and they'll tell you how long you have at that time to overcome whatever that impediment is. But you don't want to use that up before you've had a chance to really know what you need to do.
That was a great and thorough answer. Thank you so much, Mary. And again, this will be recorded. So if you're trying to take notes and it's going maybe a little faster than you can write, it'll be posted as soon as it's available on the website togetherforla.org. Here's a more complicated question, and I'm going to read it out loud, and just so everybody understands and with no interpretation. So I had a notice on my SBA that no further action was required in the last loan request that is, quote, processing, but the others, maybe economic help needed, had a red button. Is that a normal thing? I just went through the prompts and answered what I could. I'm having a hard time getting a bid for rebuilding because of difficulty accessing the nearly destroyed neighborhood. How long does it take to get a reply?
This is a situation where I would encourage you to go to a center if you can. And we have not only the disaster recovery centers, one at UCLA, one in Altadena, but SBA has several centers located around the communities in LA that are just for SBA. Go in there and see if they can't help you with those technical situations as you see them. Because again, it's hard for us to answer those questions without knowing or seeing your specific information. And take advantage of those experts while you can.
Right.
And Lee, can you put that into the chat, where to go to find the center? Because I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat.
Yeah,
So,
Zeta sent it out to everyone.
thank you very much.
And just to clarify, Mary, how long will those centers that you're describing be open? Are they something that's going to close also on March 10th, or is it something that'll be around for a little bit longer?
We don't know that for sure.
Okay.
But from my point of view, again, it's like what I'm telling you to apply. Don't wait. Don't take that risk. Get in there as soon as you can while we know they're there. And periodically, there are pop-ups around the communities at different events where customer service representatives will be. A lot of times we're there with the district office with Lee and her team, or with a Chamber of Commerce, a congressional member, or the Los Angeles County Economic Development will often be there as well. So check that link to find out where the nearest site is where you can get that assistance and when they're available.
Great. It looks like there's no open questions right now. Don't go anywhere, Lee and Mary, stick around.
Okay.
I'd like to turn it over to Ken and Adriana, though, from the EDD. Again, this is the state agency that supports our employees, including independent contractors, with special programs in the face of disaster. And maybe you could give us an update on those filing deadlines, et cetera.
Okay, well, good morning, for inviting us to be here today. I'm going to follow Mary's lead by starting off with a very, very important and soon to happen deadline, which is, again, March 10th. This is the final day to apply for EDD's Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program. However, I will state that if you have a compelling reason for filing a late claim, we will still accept the case basis even after March the 10th. We do recognize that a lot of people are still trying to pull together, etc., and it's all based on if you can prove good cause for submitting a late claim. So that, again, is, if you can, March 10th is the drop dead deadline. Anything after that would be addressed on a case-by-case basis. And also to follow Mary's guidance, if in doubt, file, because you just never know. We also want to provide some clarifications that we've been getting at our disaster resource recovery centers. Adriana's team is over the Altadena Center, mine is over the one in West LA, but the questions seem to be very common, and they're not unique to a specific area. we're now getting customers of, number one, the centers have been extended through the 26th of March, so that's good news. We'll be around a little bit longer than anticipated. We are getting customers now coming into us with what they call a disqualification letter. And what we have to explain to them is the way our DUA, Disaster and Employment Assistance Program, works is our system automatically tries to file a regular UI claim. And if it can't, it will send a denial letter stating, so sorry, unable to file a regular UI claim. Well, then we go in and we manually work with the system and we generate and approve a DUA claim. So like a few days later, they get an approval letter, which is called an award letter, stating that they have been approved for DUA. And that's causing a lot of confusion out there because they're getting conflicted information. And the way the mails operate sometimes is they might get, there could be a week's lag time in between when they get a denial and an approval. So we just want to reassure people that, please, please, please don't give up hope. If you have a question about any form, either contact us by phone, come into the DRC, and we'll be happy to investigate it for you. And just like the SBA, we do have an appeals process. So that is always an option that you have. If you feel that maybe you were entitled to a regular claim based on W-2 wages, you could also appeal that decision as well. The other thing we also wanted to stress here too is if we have customers who are not eligible for our state disability insurance program, but were injured as a result of the fires, they can apply for DUA. I know it sounds unique because you would think they have to have some sort of a disability, but if you are injured, yes, you may apply for DUA. So please keep that in mind as well. So those are the two main questions that we've been getting. The other thing we have to keep reminding our customers about is to please continue to certify every other week, every 2 weeks for benefits, because if you don't, the EDD thinks, oh, they found employment or they no longer need our benefits. So then the claim stops. So it's really important that you keep those biweekly certifications going. The other thing to keep in mind too is the fastest way to have them processed is to set up a UI online account. This can be done on your mobile phone. It can be done on a regular desktop computer. We also have EDD Telecert for those that don't have computer access. We do recommend the online process because it's really fast and quick. And it also sends you reminders when it's time to certify for the next 2 weeks. So we do like that particular option the best for our customers because it seems to be the most efficient and it gets you paid faster. So Adriana, do you have anything else to share about your center?
Yes, I would just like to add, because you covered everything on our end with EDD. I just wanted to add the services that our partners are also providing at the disaster recovery centers. We are working jointly with them. They do have separate services from EDD. However, we are co-located at the AJCCs, and they have services available for survivors. And they do have, some specific fundings that may be available for those individuals that were affected by the wildfires. So I think you covered everything, Ken. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just to add, the Disaster Recovery Center in Pasadena, and I believe you see it in UCLA too. They are open Monday through Saturday, and also on holidays. We were open through Sunday, but beginning March, they're closed on Sundays, but they're open Monday through Saturday and also holidays. And if you have any questions, our staff are there. They're more than, you're more than welcome to ask for any type of resource. And, our staff are very resourceful. So if they don't have the answer right there and then, they'll be able to connect and get you the right answer, as they're diligent in just providing the resources that are available, either with EDD or with our partners at the AJCCs.
Great. Thank you both. We've got a couple questions already come in, and as people are thinking, please type them here. Anonymous attendee says, as I type, I'm on my 5th attempt to fax requested income documents to EDD DUA. No fax machine is answering. How else can I get this to them? And then he says the fax number is 619-525-4248. Ken, do you have or Adriana, do you have insight of
Yeah,
what?
I'd have to check with our UI team to find out if there's an alternate fax number. I was advised that they might be able to upload them via their UI online account, but again, I would need to verify that information. I could try to make a quick phone call while you continue with the rest of the webinar here to see if we can get an answer for that.
Okay.
I do have a connection where we can hopefully get a quick answer, but if not, if Anonymous would like to anonymously contact me, I can put my email address in the chat pod, and then I can work with them on a one-on-one basis. So that's an option.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for doing that. And then while you're doing that, Donna asks, by injured, do you mean physically or financially?
Physically.
Physically. And
Yes.
it's the individual physically injured.
Yes.
This is
Right.
not economic injury, which what
Right.
SBA does.
Let's say that during the fire, you were evacuating your home, you tripped and fell and suffered a concussion, so you would not be able to work. That would be a prime example of being eligible for DUA. But again, file. It's, we do, as I mentioned in the first webinar that we had of the series, that we treat everyone as individuals and everyone's circumstances are slightly different. So we do want to make sure that we're covering everything. So as Mary would say, there's no cost to apply. And the worst that could happen is you might be denied, but then you have appeal rights. So if in doubt, apply.
Okay. And you can apply online, correct?
Yes. And the magic boxes to check are, when they get to the screening question, they will ask you, were you impacted by a disaster, a recent disaster in California? Make sure that you put yes, because then that lets us know that if you're not eligible for the regular UI claim, that you could potentially be eligible for the DUA claim.
Great. Any other questions in the chat? You can place them there. I did have someone ask me previous to this, knowing that you were going to be on there, on this call, language issues. If someone is not a native English speaker, what's the best way to get information for EDD and this resource?
Well, the great news is we offer language services in up to 120 different languages. Our main systems, however, like the UI online system, are only available in about 8 languages, including Spanish. We have traditional Chinese, we have Vietnamese, etc. But we do have a contract for an interpreter service where we can actually get someone on the line to help someone. And we do recognize that when you're conducting business, especially when something is complex, even though you might be really great with speaking English, you prefer to conduct business in your native language where you feel more comfortable discussing technical terms and so forth. So we do have that as an option. It's free of charge. We do have certain locations that have staff that are based on the regional need. For example, in Adriana's region, her Glendale office has Armenian-speaking representatives. In my region, all of my offices have Spanish-speaking representatives. And at the DRCs, we have bilingual staff as well. And if they need to get a hold of a translator, they can do so free of charge. So that's what we have available to our customers. It's part of our language access program that we've implemented many years ago, but it's evolving. So you'll see more and more languages, and a lot of the key documents that we have are also available in up to 12 different languages, including Korean, Armenian, Russian, Tagalog, you name it. We're Hmong. We even have Hmong on there, but it's based on California's population and the top languages spoken.
Great. Ken, you're being requested to share your email that you promised.
Okay, I will put that in there.
Lisa, I hear you.
I just don't want to see it on a Facebook account, okay?
Yes,
so I will put it in there for anonymous, and just make sure that when you contact me, let me know that you are the anonymous person. So I know.
It's actually, Ken, before you type too much, you can actually type an answer, just a technical. You can type the answer and make it private just to Lisa. You can see Lisa is the one.
Oh, okay.
If you see that in the Q&A section.
Let me get to the Q&A real quick.
And as he's doing that, if you have
I have a chat. Is it in the chat there?
It's in the Q&A. Should be there's at the bottom next to the share button.
Okay. We've transitioned to
you know what, Ken, if you put, sorry folks, Ken, if you put your email in the chat to me, I will then post it for Lisa.
I can do
that. Okay. Lisa, we got you. We're coming.
And then do you want me to go ahead and research that question?
Yes.
Okay, I will do that.
Yes, and I'll pivot to the next segment here. We've got about 15 minutes left in our program. If you have a business or you have people you represent that have businesses that are impacted, what we're developing concurrently with this weekly program is other resources that are targeting specific businesses. We know that the county has its, and the county and the city of LA jointly have their regional small business fund that the first deadline passed, and they're still accepting applications for their phase 2. Obviously, they have, I think my last count was 15 million to give away. That money that might have gone up. That was due to investments from a number of sources, and that'll be one pot of funds. But in addition to funding, there are other needs a business might have. And so in the I know it's a Q&A, but if they ask a question even unrelated to SBA or to EDD, are there things that your business or the businesses you represent need? And if there's something we can do to arrange for that for a future webinar, we will. I will, as you're thinking about that, I will tell you next week on the 14th, when we're back, we'll be providing some experts to talk about how to take your business online, especially if you've lost your physical location, if you're selling a product, if you've thought about selling a product, if you're home-based and need to expand or diversify the way that you're generating income for your business. We'll have some experts to speak to the group then. If there's other things that you would like to have for your business or for others, please ask that question in the Q&A. We may not answer it today, but we can start to work towards that for future programs, or work with your local chamber or other your city, your community organizations to deliver the needs that you are seeing as essential for your small business recovery or the small businesses in your community to recover. And so please put those in the Q&A. I do see that LaShawn has have their hand raised. I would ask that you use the Q&A just because you see technology is not our best friend on this. And then we have another question for EDD as soon as Ken comes back, or perhaps Adriana, you could answer it. The question from Donna is, since I get a K-1 from my business, which was destroyed, can I apply for unemployment for my own business? I'm on the site for disaster unemployment assistance. Can you guide me to the apply link? I live 3 hours from the nearest disaster center, so going to one is difficult.
Okay.
Thanks, LaShawn.
Just following on what Ken had just said, yes, you could go ahead and apply. And what I could do is I could provide you with the link and additional information on a phone number that you could actually either do it online or connect via telephone call. And that way you could apply. What we're doing is we're referring everybody to apply, and it's on a case-by-case scenario. And like Ken said, if you're disqualified, you do have those appeal rights. So I will go ahead and put the phone number here and the address, the website that you can go ahead and get the apply online.
Great. Thank you for that, Adriana, and we'll get that over to you in just a moment here. Ken, did you reach your contact?
I had 2 contacts that were both unavailable, unfortunately. Okay. We will get an answer one way or the other, and we'll make sure that you get copied in for your reference for next week as well, should that come up.
Great. Other questions for our speakers at the SBA or the EDD or for business assistance? Any other questions here today? I really appreciate, Ken, you and your team, and of course, Mary and Lee and your team for being so responsive. I know this is not an easy time for those who've gone through this, or the amount of hours your teams have been working on this. And so just the ability for us to have this exchange and answer these questions has been an excellent asset to our business community here in Los Angeles. We appreciate the time you're giving to us and the customer service that you're providing through these webinars. We will stay on for a few more minutes. Again, today's webinar is recorded and will be posted at togetherforla.org. Again, we'll be back next week with information about diversifying your business opportunities by using online sources and technology. So please join us again and invite your other businesses that you know that may need this information, or feel free to share the webinar after the fact. I do have one more question here coming in. We can go back to the SBA, yes. I applied for both business. Oh, all the questions are coming in as I try to end. I applied for both business and home. They were approved, but a high interest rate. I was advised to let those applications expire and then reapply. I'm concerned that they're not expiring before March 10th. This is for Lee and Mary, SBA. What advice do you have for David about the interest rate and expiration?
I'm not who first. I'm going to ask who told you to let it expire, because that doesn't sound right to me. Because you can do a reconsideration and work with that loan officer on the original application, unless there's something I do not know, and that it could be a modification that they need to request. Again, this is one of those situations where I would go down and talk to the customer service representatives who can see your application, or you can do it through the lender portal. And I put the customer service number into the chat as well, but it went to the panelists if so people can call and get assistance. And it's possible that you could make the case for a hardship purpose for a lower rate. And the rate differential is a complicated, complex formula, so to speak, because it's based on your individual circumstances. So if I'm a billionaire and I want to come in and get a loan, I can do that, but you're not going to get that lowest rate. We are a cash flow lender. What we're going to try to do is make the payments fit what you can afford to do. So if you can afford more based on what the information you've put in says that you can afford, it may be that because of the fire, you can't do it any longer. So you want to talk to somebody who can help you through that process directly. Again, we cannot do underwriting from the field because, first of all, I should not ever see your private information. I'm a public information officer. I talk for a living. Only those people like the customer service reps, loan officers, case managers, and loan servicing department should ever be able to see your privacy information to discuss it with you. But if somebody wanted to share, and Lee, you may have already shared the customer service number in the chat. Do you have anything else to add? I know we have another one of my colleagues on here who comes from the processing and disbursement center, and she recommends that you contact somebody to try to ask for a change in your loan application. But go on.
Yeah, but also I would like to recommend getting a one-on-one from the Small Business Development Center. Even I see Ashima had a question about her after-school program that she wants to work on, sort of like a turnaround plan. There is a new women's business center also located in the Pasadena area that has business services available also. Pasadena Women's Business Center, Small Business Development Center are active in that area with assisting business owners with exactly these kinds of issues. Specifically for the disaster loan question, I would work with the center, but it wouldn't hurt to get the one-on-one just to see what sort of services they might have available. Like, give them a chance to help you.
I was also going to just add, I know that the LAEDC also has technical assistance. If you go to the togetherforla.org website, you scroll down, LAEDC's technical assistance button is there. You can sign up for, which also can direct you to some of these resources as well. Stacy has a question about unemployment. So this is Ken and Adriana. She pays a lot of taxes. She works for her business, but she's not sure how or if she should apply for unemployment or disability. She was physically injured by the fire. Is it EDD she's never done it before. And she says the business pays all taxes, but never filed for anything as an employee of her business.
Okay, so when she's compensated, does she get W-2 wages or not?
That's a good question, Stacy. If you
So
get
I would say, so what I
if you
would
get
say,
yeah,
if you don't receive W-2 wages, then, and you were injured as a result of the fire, then you would need to apply for the Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program through EDD. And again, that could be online. Adriana, I believe, put a special phone number in for wildfire survivors. And these are folks that are specialists in that area. They can also guide you better than probably we could over the phone. And it would be a private conversation. And, or you can apply, via mail, but we really discourage applying through mail because it takes forever and a day to process those claims with the mailing time. So I would recommend that. If you are somehow, we've had people that have their own business, yet they have second jobs where they've had W-2 wages and they might have been injured, they then could apply for state disability insurance. And so that would be another option. So without having all the details and facts, those are the two starting points.
Great. So we also have another question that is around, it looks like IDLES. This is for SBA. I provided copy pages in my trust indicating that my wife and I are owners of the trust. A week later, I've been asked to submit my entire trust. It's over 100 pages long. Is it actually necessary? And why so much detail needed? Mary, Lee?
My apologies. I was busy reading the chat and I missed the question. Can you repeat it?
Sure. Richard from the Eaton Fire area. I provided a copy of pages in my trust that indicated my wife and I were owners of the trust. A week later, I have been asked to submit my entire trust, which is over 100 pages long. Is this actually necessary, and why so much private details for the EIDL loan?
It may, in fact, be required because trusts, as you know, as a trustee, can be very complicated, and there may be some legal and technical information they need to review to make sure that we can legally make a loan to you through that. Without knowing all the details, I can't explain why, but generally our lawyers always require the full trust so they can see all of the factors involved.
Okay. Richard says it makes sense. Thanks, Richard. Francisco says, my wife needs help applying for EDD and she owns her business but gets a paycheck. Is there a number to call?
Yes, absolutely. She can call Adriana, have you listed the number you had into the chat pod?
Doing it right now. Can you?
Okay. There is a special line that she can call to file her claim by phone, and they're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The other option would be to go online and set up a My EDD account and file it online, which is the fastest and probably the most convenient way. And if you're located near one of our lovely DRCs, either in Altadena or West LA, they can file the claim for you in person between the hours of 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. daily, with the exception of Sunday.
Great. I think, okay, we did that one. I think that's everything right now. We're actually coming up on time. We really appreciate everybody asking these great questions. I think that even if you're not asking a question, you're learning something from what is being asked. Again, thank you to Ken and to Mary, Adriana, and to Lee for sharing this information. I do want to point to the chat. If you haven't seen it yet, there is information about the last day to apply is for the Small Business Disaster Relief Grant. It is March 12th. And so please make sure you're taking advantage of that through LA County and LA City. And they are going to have a clinic in Altadena on March 12th as well. If you need direct assistance, that you can check their social media or on their website. That's the LA County Department of Economic Opportunity. Oh, Francisco, yes, before we go, he says, what's the special EDD number? Can you post that again? So is there a number we can post for EDD?
And John, while she's doing that, may I get a quick plug-in for something that is not an EDD program, but we happen to be co-located with them at our Culver City, America's Job Center of California. There are 4 centers throughout LA County for impacted workers and families by the wildfires. And they are located one is in Culver City, one is in Sylmar. The other, there's one in the West Adams Lyman Park area and one in Boyle Heights. And these are really good resources because they can help small businesses with financial advice for recovery. They have some grants that are available. They have workshops to help people grow their business. And just in general, a really good resource for people to be aware of. In addition to helping small businesses, they also have services for job seekers, as well as services for youth looking for part-time employment. And these are called the Impacted Worker and Family Resource Centers. And those were established by Mayor Karen Bass. And I know we put the flyer in the chat pod last week. I can add the flyer again if you'd like, so that folks know where to go for this type of assistance. And it is in person. Generally, their office hours are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Great. With that, we again want to thank everyone for their thank you all for joining us. I know there's some more questions in the chat. I think our speakers can answer via text or via chat the questions here. And please be safe, and we'll see you all next Friday when we talk about online resources and technological resources for small businesses as we look into the recovery and moving forward. Appreciate you all spending your morning with us today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Mary.